I'm going to beat you into the living death.
The circus that is MMA is not always an enjoyable pageant. Many a fight night has been spent staring blankly into the cage, watching mind-numbing displays of pugilistic mediocrity, stoically waiting for the rare moments of excitement that justify the unreturnable time spent devoting one's attention to it. When those cards are pay-per-views and the ask is even greater, the corresponding disappointment is that much worse should these cards fail to deliver. On good nights, good fights, or at the very least noteworthy moments can be enough entertainment to get the average fan by, and fight nerds like me can enjoy them even if only for the love of fighting itself. But then there are outstanding nights. And on those outstanding nights, when the fights are a level above the rest, the sport becomes what it is always meant to be: the embodiment of true greatness and an absolute marvel to witness. And after witnessing UFC 300, the MMA world collectively observed what will be considered by many to have been the greatest show on earth. Yes, indeed, on all fronts, UFC 300 was a card for the ages, including a fight that will undoubtedly be entered into the Hall of Fame 20 years from now. I didn't think I'd have to make another full card review so quickly after the last one, but the 300 hype was warranted, so let's run this thing down step by step, Patrick Duffy style, baby, let's go! First things first, to start off the card, former champion Davison Figueiredo moved up a weight class to challenge former champion Cody Garbrandt. Ha! Remember that happened? The God of War took a little bit of power from the now unranked Cody before ultimately getting him to the ground and showing that if his glass chin isn't available for the smashing, cranking on his neck would do just fine. Garbrandt would claim he had vertigo during the fight, which stopped him from performing to his fullest potential. I too get dizzy thinking about ever having put money on Cody at any time after the Dominic Cruz fight. That was in 2016, by the way. The next fight on the early prelims was an absolute masterclass performance by Bobby Green, who may need to change his nickname to the Mandarin the way he disposed of UFC's Iron Man Jim Miller. The fact that Jim fucking Miller didn't get Jim fucking finished is astonishing considering the amount of damage he took by the end of the fight. It's also astonishing that Bobby Green was in such mint condition after the amount of unnecessary blows he took before the late stoppage in his fight against Jalen Turner, as I was convinced he might not even be able to form sentences again after all of those. Next fight up on the card was your bathroom break fight between former champion Jessica Andrade and Marina Rodriguez. Hopefully you got some good leg stretching in during that fight, as you'd be sitting glued to the television for a great many hours to come. The fight was indeed quite boring, with Jessica Andrade getting a decision win, which should keep her from posting on OnlyFans for a few months, so take that however you want to take it, I guess. I don't have much else to say about this fight, so I ain't gonna. The aforementioned Jalen Turner displayed one of the lowest fight IQ moves in recent memory in the next bout against Donato Moicano. In the first round of the fight, Turner dropped Moicano and looked to have him finished entirely. Turner thought it was a walk-off KO, except it wasn't, so when he walked away and the ref didn't stop it, Moicano survived into the second, only to rally completely and TKO Jalen himself. Dear God. My advice to Jalen after that fight was to stay the fuck off the internet and away from Kenny Rogers, because the amount of roasters that he'll be encountering online for that one will be numerous for many months to come. That was a Kenny Rogers Roasters reference, by the way. 1991 through 1998 were 7 magical years for enjoyers of poultry. Something to note here is that during the pre-fight press conference, Dana White put his acting chops to work, publicity stunting his announcement that the performance bonuses for UFC 300 would be raised to $300,000. That clip has gone around a bunch, but Sadiq Youssef's follow-up comment to Dana hasn't.
Speaking for us on the prelims, Dana, I think it'll only be fair if we get bonuses for each section of the card. With all the stars is out here, man, you gotta make a prelim bonus, a post prelim, and then the main card bonus, please.
Dana didn't ultimately honor this request, but damn do I wish he had. So that he could have thrown a couple bucks to the GOAT Diego Lopez, who dominated his fight against Sadiq Youssef. First round knockout for the man, the myth, the mullet. I don't dislike Sadiq, but between his performances in the cage and the greatest emo hair still in existence, I am 100% tapped in on Diego. May he be the future of the featherweight division, while his mullet remains forever in 2004, right alongside 65% of my playlists. Further into the prelims, we had the PFL phenom Kayla Harrison making her UFC debut. Rear naked choking former champion Holly Holm into oblivion with those 24-inch pythons of hers. Cutting down to 135 pounds, many and I was on Kayla, who fought at 155 for most of her career, competed in judo at 170, and looked like she was doing Beneil Dariush cosplay at the weigh-ins. Weight was achieved, and in under 2 rounds, the 2-time PFL $1 million tournament winner enters the top 5 of the women's bantamweight division in the UFC. Raquel Pennington is somewhere looking like she saw the same ghost Ilia Topuria saw after the BMF fight, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Another weight mover-upper on the card was former champion Aljamain Sterling, taking on the worst version of Calvin Kattar that the world has ever seen. Kattar was putting up such little resistance that Sterling decided to work a little brand synergy into the match, WWE powerbombing Kattar late in the fight, because why the hell not? Aljamain would win by decision, going directly into the top 10 at featherweight, while Dana White would pull out his phone and go directly to Venmo to send a payment request. Jesus Christ, we're still on the prelims, and former champion Yuri Prohashka's self-sequestration, sitting in the dark in his log cabin for months on end, sure did pay off this time around, as the Samurai would go on to TKO Alexander Rakic in the second round of their fight. The fact that Yuri is from the Czech Republic and yet has never checked a leg kick is perhaps ironic, but I digress. Yuri would end up winning a performance bonus for this fight, having taken a good amount of damage in the first and rallying, leaving Bobby Green's bonus-worthy performance on ice. I never did get confirmation whether or not Bobby Green kicked through a door like Rampage Jackson because of this, but I have my suspicions. The main card began with a costume change for Bruce Buffer, going from one amazing jacket to one of the most amazing jackets to ever grace the eyes of mankind. Bo Nickel would do what Bo Nickel does, wearing down Cody Brundage with effective chain wrestling before submitting him in the second round. There's a lot of Bo hatred going around online for some reason, which I don't really understand, as pretty much all of his hype is coming off of stellar victories, and he conducts himself with a confident professionalism that I find entirely decent. Dana White privilege may be in effect, but until he proves it unwarranted or someone stops him in his tracks, choo-choo goes the hype train, and I'm on it like the Grateful Dead.
Driving that train, I'm cocaine.
Arman Tsarukyan and former champion Charles Oliveira would have a pretty spirited fight with some two-way action that saw Arman nearly submitted twice before narrowly achieving the split decision win. Charlie had Arman in some pretty tight snags with a guillotine and a Darce choke that would have annihilated a lesser opponent, but Arman persevered, got his shots in, including one baller-ass axe kick, and ultimately silenced every one of those pussies who had the absolute gall to disrespect him at the UFC 300 Q&A.
Question for Arman. After fighting Wash, Beneil Dariush, what are your plans after you get fucking knocked out by Charles DuBronx Oliveira? Fuck you!
What? My question's for Tsarukyan. You plan on changing weight classes after Charles Oliveira submits you?
No, I want to get title in 155 and probably...
Man, get the fuck out
after
of
that, we can think about
Get
it.
the fuck out of here, man.
You too.
And Arman, you're fucking dead at 300, buddy. You're fucking dead, buddy. You're dead.
Arman wouldn't let the shit-talking bother him at the Q&A, preferring to let his aggression show inside of the octagon. And also on the way to the octagon, as he'd attack some random dude in the crowd for flipping him off during his walkout. Not exactly classy behavior, but of course this is the UFC, and we all know that as long as you win fights, you can pretty much do whatever you want, so good thing he won, I guess. The magic hour was upon us by this point in the card, as we reached the first quote-unquote title fight between Justin Gaethje and the new 155-pound version of former champion Max Holloway for the BMF belt, the first of 3 5-round fights on the top of the bill. Admittedly, I consider the continuation of the BMF title to be a gimmick that has worn out its welcome, but if this is the caliber of fight it's capable of producing, it might actually be worth keeping around, because this is one of the greatest fights to ever be fought. From start to finish, Max Holloway put on a near flawless performance, save for a few moments of leading with fingers, resulting in 2 unfortunate eye pokes. Of course, those are fouls and should be negatively viewed. However, with the volume Max was producing, I do think you have to weigh them in context. Max was crushing with his striking. His combinations and multiple spinning kicks were thrown with intention and accuracy, and his movement paired with his output was frankly undeniable. I'd never excuse a foul, but had they not occurred, I think it's pretty fair to say we would have still seen a victory for Max. However, I don't think anybody on the planet could have predicted the actual ending we got to this fight. After 24 minutes and 50 seconds of some of the most brilliant fighting there ever was inside of an octagon, the clapper sounds, signaling 10 seconds left in the fight. Max Holloway, who has seemingly sailed his way to a win by now, invites Justin to the center to stand and bang, allowing him one more shot at victory. Something Max didn't have to do, but did out of respect for his opponent, and because he is indeed the baddest motherfucker on the planet, as the next 10 seconds would ultimately prove. After an exchange of deadly shots from both sides, and with 1 second left on the timer, Max Holloway would knock out Justin Gaethje, leading to some of the coldest images in the history of the sport, and solidifying his place in the history books forevermore. I haven't had a chance to talk much about Max on the channel, but he's always been one of my favorite fighters, and after this absolutely spectacular performance, he may just top my list at this point. He's a man who competes with honor, a human being who carries himself with class and graciousness towards everyone he encounters, and without games, shit-talking, or gimmicks, goes out and fights with everything he's got every single time he's inside of the cage. If there was ever a person designed by God himself to hold the BMF belt, Max Holloway would most assuredly be him. Enjoy your new belt, you legend, and thank you for the chance to witness consummate greatness in real time. I'll be waiting patiently to remember this fight fondly when it's inevitably entered into the Hall of Fame. I also want to make it clear that none of this analysis takes anything away from the work of Justin Gaethje, who was as game as ever, taking shots to give them, and becoming the first person to ever sit Max on his ass in a fight, even though it was so brief, it wasn't counted as an official knockdown. Truly, this was one BMF exchanging hardware with another, and his performance is as important to making this fight Hall of Fame worthy as Max's was. He brought out the absolute best in Max, which was exactly what was going to be needed to get through the masterful opponent he proved to be. Fight of the night is an understatement. The high watermark has been set for greatest fight of all time, and it would seem difficult to think of a scenario that would produce a fight capable of topping it going forward. So after the BMF title fight crescendoed the energy level, we still had 2 more fights to go, and those 2 were great fights in their own respects. In the next title fight, champion Zhang Weili would defend her belt against fellow countrywoman Yan Xiaonan. Yan narrowly survived a rear naked choke late in the first round that had her barely able to stumble back to her corner to recover. When she did make it, DC's goofy ass on commentary said he thought they used smelling salts to wake her back up, which would have been very, very illegal. Luckily, her corner was using Vaseline in Yan's nostrils and not smelling salts, which is legal, but in reality, DC might have just had salt on the brain after watching his boy Justin Gaethje get knocked out. Weili would go on to win the fight via decision to retain the belt, ever gracious in victory. Even though Yan doesn't seem to really like her very much, regardless of them being from the same country and Weili being really nice to her all the time. Seems like a Chinese female Highlander situation they got going on over there. Amazing they haven't done one of those already. You can cut me a check for that one, woke Hollywood. So after a literal 7.5 hours of fighting, we arrive at the main event finally, where champion Alex Pereira would demolish former champion Jamal Hill in the first round, after being kicked in the dick and telling Herb Dean, "Hold on brother, I'm cooking here," when Herb attempted to step in. Alex would knock out and then meme on Jamal, both disrespecting his opponent as a get-back for his trash talk, while simultaneously getting another dig in at Israel Adesanya, who did a TikTok with some influencer or something. Beating Hill was also an avenging of the loss Pereira's mentor, Glover Teixeira, received at the hands of Jamal, proving that once you enter Poetan's crosshairs, you're never going to escape him. This man is probably still hunting down the family members of a dude who cut him off in traffic a decade ago on one of those little scooters everyone rides around on in Brazil. Though the fight itself was somewhat anticlimactic for such an amazing night of combat, the continued rise of Alex Pereira's ranking on the GOAT list is mind-boggling when you run the numbers. Since joining the UFC, he has now fought 8 times. He has won 7 of those fights, with 5 wins via knockout. 4 of those 8, literally half of his fights with the organization, have been title fights, within which he has secured 2 belts in 2 different weight classes and defended once. Also in those 8 fights, 5 of his opponents were former, current, or soon-to-be champions. This updated resume is historic in its own right, and a perfect icing on the most spectacular cake of violence that was UFC 300. Cake of Violence, coincidentally, a very dope band name. Leading into this card, a lot of hype was placed upon it. It's 300, it's a big round number, a big milestone for the UFC, and one that Dana was promising to be monumental. And let's be frank, regardless of what was said publicly, you know damn well it was supposed to be Conor versus Mike Chandler headlining the thing. When all the stars of ye olden days like Brock, Ronda, and GSP couldn't be summoned from the great beyond, it wasn't likely that the card was going to have the same wow factor that it was luring fans in with. Even still, with both the main and co-main event title fights being successful defenses, and a whole lot of people moving weight classes for their fights on this card, the idea of anything being immediately needle-moving as far as the sport is concerned was only saved by Max Holloway's breakout performance in his new weight class. But with all of those things being as they are, in the end, it just makes how amazing this card ended up being in spite of those factors all the more impressive. I specifically made sure to call out as many current or former champions as I could in this assessment, as there were so very many fighting on this card. The level at which most of these fighters were performing will be among those we'll hear future fighters referencing as inspiration for their own performances and approaches when it comes to fighting. In the young history of MMA, we've seen many amazing fights, and several events where multiple fantastic performances have taken place. Some will say UFC 300 tops them all as far as level of quality paired with consistency among the fights on the card, and that you can debate until the end of time. But one thing you cannot debate is the fact that UFC 300 showcased everything that makes this sport great and what compels fight fans to watch in the first place. For that, I am very grateful. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and for yelling about mixed martial arts, this is Thinker St. James reminding you that if you care this much about MMA, you too are genuinely happy for once. Even though some people will still find reasons to complain because the internet is full of bitches. Another nice 1-2 for Max. I mean, really, anything Max puts on this is just going to be kind of icing for it at this point. Yeah, he's got to be careful of Justin doing some crazy shit. He has to do it now. Justin, if you've got anything left in there, bro, throw it all, dude. You are under a minute, my dude. Don't wait till you hear that fucking clapper, homie.
Yep.
Now, go, bro. Turn it on. Okay. Yeah. He was trying to set that wild one up. Didn't get it. I mean, he needs to set another one up, like, quickly here. Set something else up. Oof, nice and flying knee from Max. Yeah.
He blocked that shit real quick.
Absolutely. Yeah, both sides, I mean, right now, stalking around. Oh, Justin going for some wild shit. Yeah, he said, let's do it. Let's fucking do it.
He said, no.
Stand and bang, right motherfucker. Stand and bang. Oh! Oh! What? What?
Oh, my God.
Holy shit!
Yo.
What the fuck, bro? You wanted fireworks, ladies and gentlemen. Holy shit!
Oh, no way.
What the fuck?
Bro, what?
Don't wait for the clapper. Well, oh fucking well.
Yo, that's fucking wild.
Bro. How many seconds were left?
I don't know.
It was before the fucking... It was before the bell. It was before the fucking time. Oh my god.
Was
Bro.
that like a second?
Literally
Bro,
1 second. Yo,
what the
Cosmos
fuck?
is saying. That's what I thought. I thought it was right before the graphic was about to go away. Bro. Stop what happened, motherfucker. Are you crazy? Max Holloway just fucking knocked out Justin Gaethje with a second left on the clock. Legitimate knockout within time. He fucking said, we're going to meet in the center. You want to fucking throw down? Justin Gaethje said, I fucking have to. This is where we're at. And Max fucking dropped him, knocked him out with 1 fucking second left on the clock, if that's what the official time is. Fucking insanity.
Bro,
that is
what
fucking
the
nuts.
fuck? Oh, shit. Oh, my shit.
Ain't nothing like it in all of sports, ladies and gentlemen.
Straight pancake.
Bro. Insanity, dude.
Game.